The night reality caught up with Jake Paul. You know, there's something peculiar about watching someone chase a dream that everyone keeps telling them is impossible. It's like watching a cat try to catch a laser pointer. Admirable determination, questionable understanding of physics. On December 19th, 2025 in Miami, Florida, that's exactly what we witnessed. Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer who'd been dancing around the edges of legitimate boxing for 6 years, finally stepped into the ring with someone who could genuinely hurt him. His name was Anthony Joshua, and hurt him he did. The unlikely journey. Let's rewind a bit, because this story doesn't start with a knockout. It starts with a Disney Channel show. Jake Paul, born in Cleveland, Ohio, first found fame on Vine. Remember Vine, that app where creativity had exactly 6 seconds to happen? He was good at it, 5.3 million followers good. When Vine disappeared into the digital graveyard, Jake migrated to YouTube, where he became one of those creators your younger cousin probably watches. He even had a stint on the Disney Channel series Bizarre-to-Vark, playing a character who accepted dares, which in retrospect feels like oddly appropriate foreshadowing. But somewhere around 2018, Jake Paul decided that making prank videos wasn't enough. He wanted to punch people, professionally. His first boxing match was against another YouTuber, Deji Olatunji. He won. Then came Anison Gibb, another online personality. Won that too. People laughed, called it a circus, said he was just playing dress-up in boxing shorts. Then, something strange happened. Jake kept winning. He fought Nate Robinson, a former NBA player, and knocked him out so thoroughly that the internet turned it into a meme. He fought Ben Askren, an MMA wrestler, and stopped him in the first round. He fought Tyron Woodley twice and won both times, the second with a knockout that actually made boxing people pause and say, huh. Then came Anderson Silva, the legendary UFC striker, someone who actually knew how to throw a punch. Jake won by decision over 8 rounds. The jokes got quieter. But there was one blemish on his record, one reality check. In February 2023, Jake fought Tommy Fury, an actual boxer, half-brother to heavyweight champion Tyson Fury, and lost by split decision. It was his only defeat in 13 fights, 7 knockouts, victories over MMA legends, aging boxers, and that one time he beat 58-year-old Mike Tyson in what many called less a fight and more a gentle sparring session broadcasted to 60 million households. Jake Paul had built something unusual, a legitimate boxing record constructed from unconventional parts, like a spaceship made from Lego bricks. It worked, technically, but you wouldn't want to ride it to the moon. The challenge. Which brings us to Anthony Joshua. AJ, as he's known, is not an MMA fighter trying boxing. He's not a retired athlete looking for one last payday. He's not someone's half-brother riding coattails. Anthony Joshua is a former 2-time unified heavyweight champion. The man has stood across the ring from Vladimir Klitschko, Andy Ruiz Jr., and Alexander Povetkin. He's been knocked down and come back. He's held championship belts that weigh more than most people's ambitions. At 6'6" and weighing in at 243 pounds, a full 26.8 pounds heavier than Jake, Joshua was exactly the kind of opponent that makes sensible people reconsider their life choices. When the fight was announced in November 2025, the reaction was mixed. And by mixed, I mean most people thought Jake Paul had lost his mind. British boxer Dave Allen called it ridiculous, a joke. Promoter Frank Warren described it as having potential for a car crash. Commentators used phrases like mismatched and circus fight. One writer from The Guardian expressed hope that Paul wouldn't need an ambulance. Even Jake's own trainer, Ben Davison, expressed concerns about safety risks, which, when your own trainer is worried, is generally not a great sign. But Jake Paul, to his credit or his stubbornness, the line between bravery and foolishness is often drawn in retrospect, didn't back down. He called it Judgment Day. He promised to silence every doubt, earn his shot at a world title, and put Britain's Goliath to sleep. Joshua, meanwhile, was characteristically direct. "Jake or anyone can get this work," he said. "I'm about to break the internet over Jake Paul's face." The contract had special provisions. Despite heavyweight having no weight limit, Joshua agreed not to exceed 245 pounds. The ring would be 22 by 22 feet instead of 20 by 20 feet. 8 3-minute rounds with 10-ounce gloves. The fight would stream on Netflix with a reported purse of $184 million. DraftKings made Joshua a 12-1 favorite, which is bookmaker speak for "this probably won't be close." December 19th arrived, the Kaseya Center in Miami filled with spectators who'd come to see either validation or devastation, depending on whose side you were on. Jake Paul walked to the ring first, despite being the promoted A side of the fight. Logan Paul, his older brother, and rapper 6ix9ine accompanied him. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation, that particular energy that comes before watching someone test fate. Joshua followed, calm and focused, a man who'd done this 28 times before in his professional career. The opening bell rang. Immediately, it became clear this wouldn't be like Jake's previous fights. Joshua was bigger, stronger, and carried the kind of power that rearranges dental work. But Jake had a plan. He moved laterally, used footwork, refused to plant himself as a stationary target. He actually made Joshua miss with early rights. His jab found success. For someone stepping into the ring with a legitimate heavyweight monster, Jake looked competent, which is admittedly more than many expected. The rounds progressed. Jake clinched when Joshua got close, often ending up on the floor because when a 243-pound man leans on you, gravity becomes very interested in your personal business. By round 4, the referee was warning both fighters about the scrappy nature of the bout. A right uppercut from Joshua briefly troubled the problem child, but Jake survived. Here's the thing about fighting someone truly dangerous. It's exhausting, not just physically, but mentally. Every punch you throw is a calculation. Every punch coming at you is a threat. And Joshua, for all the movement and clinching, was slowly figuring Jake out. Round 6 arrived. Joshua had been patient, methodical. Now he pressed forward. He forced Jake onto the ropes, backing him into a corner where there was nowhere left to run, nowhere left to move. Jake tried to cover up. Joshua unloaded, combination after combination, finding their target. And then, with the precision of someone who's done this hundreds of times in training and dozens in competition, Anthony Joshua threw a right hand that carried every ounce of his 243 pounds, all his championship experience, and probably some frustration at how long this had taken. It landed flush on Jake's jaw. Jake's legs forgot they were supposed to support him. He dropped to the canvas. The referee started counting. Jake tried to rise. Credit where it's due. He tried, but his body had received a message from his brain that roughly translated to, "We're not doing this anymore." The count reached 10. The fight was over. In the ring afterward, Jake sat on the canvas, processing what had just happened. His jaw, as he would later confirm from a hospital bed, was broken. "I think my jaw's broken, by the way," he told reporters, displaying the kind of casual understatement that only comes from someone whose face recently met a professional boxer's fist. Anthony Joshua was disappointed in his performance, despite the knockout. It wasn't the best performance, he admitted. The end goal was to get Jake Paul, pin him down, and hurt him. It took a bit longer than expected, but the right hand finally found the destination. And there it is, the entire story in one sentence. It took longer than expected, but reality found its destination. Jake Paul announced he'd be taking a break, his first real one after 6 years of fighting and promoting. "I've been going hard for 6 years, so I'm going to take some time off," he said. Though he added with characteristic optimism, "I'm going to come back and get a world championship belt at some point." Let's talk about what happened here, because it's more interesting than just influencer gets knocked out. Jake Paul did something genuinely impressive. He built a legitimate boxing career from unconventional beginnings. He trained seriously, took the sport seriously, and actually developed skills. He fought fighters with real credentials and won more often than he lost. His journey from YouTube to the ring deserves respect for the sheer audacity and work ethic involved. But there's a difference between being a good boxer and being championship level. There are levels to this sport, layers of experience and power that take years to navigate. You can't skip steps no matter how much confidence or promotional genius you possess. Anthony Joshua represented one of those steps Jake hadn't taken yet, a legitimate, current-era heavyweight with championship experience and natural physical advantages. And that's okay. That's not a failure. That's called learning where the ceiling is. Mike Tyson once said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." Jake Paul had a plan until he got punched in the jaw. The beauty of sports, and maybe life, is that limitations aren't permanent conditions, they're just current addresses. Jake Paul took this fight when he could have stayed comfortable fighting safer opponents. That's worth something. Will he become a world champion? Probably not at heavyweight, but his story, from Disney Channel to Netflix boxing, from YouTuber to legitimately ranked fighter, is already more remarkable than most. On December 19, 2025, in Miami, Reality and Ambition met in the ring. Reality threw a right hand that broke a jaw and ended a 6-year undefeated streak at the highest level Jake Paul had yet attempted. But Ambition, bruised and broken-jawed, was already talking about coming back. Because that's the thing about dream chasers and laser pointer chasing cats. They never quite learn when to quit. And honestly, we wouldn't want them to. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the night Jake Paul met his match, consider subscribing. We'll be here telling the stories of people who dream impossible things and occasionally get punched in the face for their trouble. Until next time.